Hello and welcome to this webinar where we will deep dive into how to do digital revolution within B2B payments. I'm Denise Johansson, co-founder and co-CEO of Enfuse. And my background is all about payments. So this topic today is really close to my heart. Today I run the business of Enfuse. And for those who don't know Enfuse, we provide the services for the payment industry by providing cutting-edge technology to enable others to do card issuing and payment processing. But today it's not about my knowledge nor my experience. I'm visiting Paris and I'm happy to have Chandaliel Gouya with me in the studio. And we are focusing on you and Memo Bank today. Please introduce yourself and Memo Bank.
Well, thank you, Denise, and I'm really happy to be there with you. I mean, we have been working for 2 years now together, and it's the first time actually that we have the chance to meet. So that's I'm really happy about it. Memo Bank is a new bank that we created in France 2 years ago, and we are focusing on B2B. We are focusing on SMEs, 1 million plus revenue SMEs actually, and we try to give them a new experience of the bank, so we rebuild everything from scratch, and that's quite a challenge.
Yeah, indeed it is. So the agenda for today, we have 4 sections that we are going to take all the audience through. We are going to walk through the founding story and look in a little bit on the market need for SMEs. Then we are moving on to the payment solution and customer requirements. Then we are going to talk about the partnership that we have and how to create share technology views. And then in the end, we are focusing a little bit on leadership, so being a CEO, and if we have any learnings to share to the audience. And then hopefully in the end, we are going to take some Q&A from the audience. And just some practicalities for you listening here. So throughout this webinar, you can post the questions in the comments in the chat there. So please be active, and then we'll take them alongside here at the end. And if you need to jump out at any time, don't be worried. We will send you the recording of this webinar afterwards. So you will anyway have a chance to listen into it. But yeah, going back a little bit to the founding story of Memo Bank and the market need. When you launched 2 years back, you were the first French bank in 50 years to be licensed. That's quite an achievement. But tell me, how did you come up with the idea to revolutionize the industry in France? And what's the story behind it?
Well, I had the chance to have another business before that was quite successful. And we started from zero, basically, to almost 100 people and hundreds of millions of sales per year. So we saw all the stages of like going from zero, from scratch, creating your own stuff, and being at the industrial level of building a company. And doing that, you have to have partners. And one of these partners are banks, of course. And we suffered from that all along the way because banks are not designed, not thought for the growing businesses. And they're not equipped for speed, they're not equipped for technology. So we had a lot of issues with traditional banks. So when we had the chance to sell the company and to do an IPO, and when we thought about doing a new business, we thought like that's logical. We have so much pain doing this business with banks that we have to do a bank designed for SMEs, like not a bank or not a payment establishment for new companies, for freelancers. There are already plenty, and that they are really good. But really for SMEs that need banks, meaning that they need credit, they need payment solutions, they need deposit solutions. And so when we thought to it in 2016, actually. We met the French regulator, and it took us 3 years to get from zero to the banking license. We also created all our technology ourselves. And most of it, I mean, we have a few partners like you, of course. So our goal is to create a new experience for SMEs, a bank with speed, with a lot of technology, and for the 21st century, actually.
Yeah, but I need to stay there a little bit. It took you 3 years to get to the license, and you were not from within the industry. You were suffering from the industry not being cutting edge enough. So how was that lacking the experience from the industry, but still wanting to penetrate it and revolutionize it? How was that journey, and how did you do it?
I mean, that's clearly a weakness when you are not from the industry, but that's also a force. That's also you can think more clearly. You can think about things that are thought as normal in the business, and rethink it to say, hey, maybe it's not normal to act like this, or to do this and this. So that's both. We took the opportunity to bring together a lot of people that were really experienced in the banking industry to be with us, to be at our board, of course, and to be here in our daily struggles.
Yes.
To build the bank. And we come from the technology side, so that's really important right now. I mean, banks, traditional banks, they have technology, of course, but they were not built on technology. Most of them, they brought technology to an existing business, and they try to make it to put the technology on it, but they didn't build it from scratch. And the other thing is, we at the occasion, I mean, it's not only a question of technology. It's never only a question of technology. We know how to do technology. We know that's our job, but it's also a question of how do you think to the organization? How do you rethink the processes? And how do you bring the technology in support of all of that to make it happen and make the best experience for your clients?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think this is diversity. When you bring someone from the outside into the ecosystem, because that's when you are able to challenge us a little bit, because we do tend to be going the same direction as always. So I think that's one of the parts of where this is a really fascinating story, and I'm so happy that you had the resilience to keep going for the years it took you to build the company. But now you have launched, you are already in the industry. Can you see how you have revolutionized it in France, and how have the others taken that someone from the outside came in and
we are beginning to see the first effects of having a new bank in this ecosystem. This is of course, at the beginning, nobody takes you seriously,
no.
And then they see that you can really run a bank. That was the first time in 50 years that nobody really created it from scratch. You can run a bank. It works seamlessly. All your clients are happy, and they begin to tell other people that they are really happy about it and they should try. And what we analyzed when entering this market is that all those clients that we have now, they didn't expect. They started to never expect that a new experience could be available for them. They saw it on the B2C side. They saw it for really small companies. You can have really beautiful experience, but for the SME side, it's it will never happen. It will. I will have the interfaces from the 80s forever. Banks will never change, and that's true. Banks. It's really hard for traditional banks to change. And now they are discovering that, oh, yeah, actually, it can happen. Like, I can have a fast bank. I can have bankers that are equipped with technology, with fast processes, with a bank with an API, and so on and so on. And at the end, like, oh, okay, I'm so relieved. Like, I can really enjoy using the bank. That's like when your clients say that, you think that you can think that you achieve something.
Yeah, yeah. Enjoying a bank experience, then you definitely have achieved something. I don't think I've been using those words, but I haven't been using Memo Bank, so that's probably it. Yeah, but going a little bit into the solutions that you were building and the customer requirements, you came from the customer side, so you had your own mind into what customer experience should be. But then creating all these solutions, can you give like 2-3 of the challenges that you had to overcome during those years of building that you maybe wasn't expecting to be a challenge?
Well, I would say the first challenge is to hire the right people. It's always the same, I think, in all industries, but in our case, we came from the technology, we even came from the B2C side. And from one day to another, we were like, yeah, we are in a new industry and we are doing B2B, so how do we hire the right people? And bank is, I mean, I had the occasion to run another business, and we were selling train tickets. So train tickets, if you look at how you need to organize your company, you have 3 main jobs. Like you need to do a good technology job, good marketing job, and a good customer support job. If you do that properly, you can run a good business. But when you do bank, you have so much jobs to do well. When you do a new product, you need to put like 12 different people around the table just to take one decision and make sure that the decision will be quite okay.
So compliance.
Compliance,
yes.
I mean, that's compliance, that's finance, that's accountancy, that's like a lot of different jobs needs to be done really, really properly. You don't have just one client, actually. You have your external clients, your SMEs, you have your internal clients, the bankers, they really need to be equipped with a lot of technology, and you have another clients, actually, which are auditors.
Yes.
Because you are audited all the time, you have regulators, so you need to like create the technology also for them. That's a lot of things to think about when you do this kind of thing. And so you need to hire a lot of different people with a lot of expertise. And of course, you can't have like teams of 10 people doing your finance at the beginning. You need to hire the right person. And it's same thing on the compliance thing, side and so on. So I think that's the biggest challenge. It's about, when, as I was saying, like, not thinking about the technology, but more thinking about the organization and the processes you would put in place and equip that, support that with technology. And also hire the right people to be in that mindset, to be able to rethink, to think. Because we are hiring quite senior people, of course, and they are used to work. Some people have been used to work with a way of work during 25 years. Yeah. So you need to hire the right people able to rethink about and forget actually about what they learned during the last 25 years and rethink about everything. That's the biggest challenge.
Yeah. So do you think that you were able to keep the agility that you kind of get from the technology side, where you can make the fast decisions, you know that you want to go fast to market, test the product, come back, redo? How did you balance that coming from that side and then have all these senior people that maybe are not from the agility side of the table and still keep moving forward in a pace that is needed to launch at some point at least? Yeah,
that's a good question, and I'm guessing that you have the same issues. Like you can't, when you run a bank, of course, you can't do the same thing that when you're running an e-commerce website. No. definitely. I mean, you forget it. you can sometimes. I mean, you can fix bugs very quickly. That's the most important thing. With you, I mean, it's you need to be there when there is an issue and be able to fix that in a matter of minutes. That's the big, I mean, really different rhythm that you have as a new player in the field. Of course, traditional banks most of the time are not able to have this kind of speed. But when you design product and when you want to make a change, of course you can't make the change in 2 minutes. You have to rebring all those 12 people around the table, make sure that the choice that you will do will be understood and accepted by everybody, that it won't have a lot of impacts on other things. So that's hard. That's a hard balance, and it's harder and harder when you grow, of course, because you have more clients, more technology, more people internally to challenge also the decisions. But we try to stick to that, and we know that's also one of our biggest value, of course.
Yes. Definitely, I do believe it as well. But were you able at some point to test the proposition on the market, or did you do a full big bang launch and had everything ready, or how did you look at that?
Yeah, we had a kind of hybrid approach from that. Of course, we had at some point to run the bank, so you have to start it. You have to start the engine. It was the first time for a long time that nobody had started a bank, so it was quite a challenge. We started we pushed the start button at some point, but we didn't have all the products. Our idea was to wait for the feedbacks from our clients, because of course you can do all the market studies you want. You won't have the reality of the market. So we started with a few products. We started with credit, of course, with overdraft, with banking accounts and SEPA payments and so on. But we clearly didn't have the full portfolio of what was needed to be a really important SME bank. And we waited for the feedbacks first to put the priorities on our roadmap and start to build new products. And that's interesting because, I mean, we started without even having payment cards. Who does that?
Exactly, who does that? Not the way to do it.
But we could do it because we are targeting clients that already have banks. They already have 2.5 banks on average, actually.
2.5.
So they have banks, they have credit cards, they have all of that. That's slow, that's not the best experience, but they have it. So we could start as a secondary bank and not a primary bank, and that was our chance in that market. So we took the first years of the occasion of the first years of running the bank to create the new product and really think about the new product that we wanted to release in the market. And I think we had the chance to do that, and that's really a big chance because we could really design our products for actual needs, rather than just studying the market and thinking about virtual things.
Yeah, you can do market studies forever. At some point you just need to trust the gut feeling and get going. But let's move to the next section, partnership and shared technology views. And you are from the tech side yourself. And how did you then, when you started to have an understanding of the infrastructure and everything needed to run a bank, how did you decide what to build in-house? What's the core of Memo Bank, and on what aspects to partners with others?
I think that was the toughest decisions we had to take. Do we take the time to build ourselves, or do we rely on others? And of course, you can't rely only on yourself. Our idea was to make sure that we could go as fast as possible when fixing bugs and being in control of the experience. That's really our main thing. Like, do we need to wait for someone to fix something or to release something to make sure to be able to provide something to our clients, or no? And that's how we do the balance. The decision in most of the cases are we do it ourselves. we know how to do technology. We know how to hire the right people. And the difference between most of the time, the difference between relying on someone and making it yourself when you can control the technology, it's a ratio of 1 to 100. If I send a bug to someone and they will open a ticket, and then you are the smallest client, and the ticket is like it's not a priority for them.
No.
Like, you have to just wait for making the experience of your client better, and that's really uncomfortable, and we didn't want to do it. We were the first to get the license, so why not like really redoing and rebuilding everything?
Yeah.
So most of the time we don't rely on partners. Actually, we have only a few partners, and you are one of them, and we are really lucky to have you, because sometimes, like, you need to give the. That's such a technique. That's so technical to do, and for payments you need to be there every minute of the day.
Yes.
It needs to work. You couldn't accept as a client that your payment shouldn't work during 4 hours. It's unacceptable. So that's why we rely on Anfios, because that's another job. We don't know how to do this job, like being there 24 hours a day, every day of the year, making sure that all payments are going through. That's a tough job, and that's not our job.
Yeah.
So that's why we sometimes we make the choice to have partners.
Yeah, and I actually remember the first time I saw you on the small screen. It was totally remote back then during COVID, and I remember it was in the last phases of the sales process from our perspective, and it was about convincing you that no, don't do this yourself. And I think because you were very honest from the start, that you are thinking that why should we rely on a partner? Will you ever live up to the expectations and be delivering the service? So I think that's a really honest and good conversation to have as early as possible, because then we knew that it was up to us to prove to you that why we think that we are really good, but because we are niched. It's so, as you said, it's so technical. It's infrastructure. It's the most unsexy part of a customer experience that you can have,
really
but it's important one, and you need to be excellent at it. So yeah, that was just small. I remember that small screen and trying to convince, and we did. So you chose us, but then how did you, or you decided maybe first that this is a part that you want to outsource, but then how did you validate, because we are not the only one in the industry doing what we are doing, so how did you then validate that which of these partners, so this is something that we want to have a partner to do, but which of them, how can you make that decision? Fully remote, as said. So how did you think about that?
Yes, our focus was really like on how reliable would be our partner. And by reliable, a lot of people think that reliability is like how like, do you have downtime? How many hours per year? Like, that's one thing of reliability. But as we are in the engineering field and we know a lot about technology, we know that, and excuse me for the terms, but shit happens.
Yes.
Like, you know it will happen. You know it. There is no way you can do a perfect software. It doesn't simply exist. So knowing that, you need to make sure that your partners will be in the same mindset, and won't say, yeah, we are 100% of the time we are reliable. Look at our numbers. Yeah, okay, it can happen. You can be really lucky to have those numbers, but it happens.
Yeah.
And it happened, actually. Like, we know it. There's no 100% reliable software. It doesn't simply exist. So you want to make sure that your partners, when you have the problem, and when you have one problem, most of the time, like you have 10 problems,
yes.
of course, because it doesn't happen just with one problem. You want to make sure that your partners will be 100% honest about what is happening, and giving you maximum of visibility on what will happen, and not like saying, yeah, we have a little bit of trouble, but yeah, oh, you saw that like 10 minutes ago you have an issue. Oh, we didn't see it. Like, no, you want 100% honest partners on that, because you want to make sure that you will have the information, you will be able to take the right decision on your side and inform your customers that you have a problem. And that's okay. I prefer to say to my customers that we have a problem than just knowing nothing about what is happening. All the infrastructures have problems sometimes. You take trains, yeah. You take planes. All the infrastructures have problems. That's normal. But the best way to handle it is to be transparent with your clients, to give visibility to your client, and say, yeah, okay, it's a 5-minute problem. We know exactly what is happening. Just we will inform you in 5 minutes when it's ready. And that's way better than just saying nothing, of course, or saying, I don't know, my partner didn't tell me what's happening.
It's on someone else's table. Yeah, so it's maybe not as much reliability as it is about transparency.
Exactly.
And having a trust that the transparency is real. And I think you raised a good point there that, like, no matter how good numbers you show, like, please show us the SLA from the last 6 months or 1 year, and it's 99.999. And that's good, okay? So you have the basis in place. But it is, as you say, even though you can prove that going back, do you have the capabilities, do you have the knowledge to fix it when shit hits? Because it will at some point. And I think also for, like, the legacy players within the industry, where they have built the infrastructure so many years ago, so maybe the people aren't even on site anymore. So as long as everything is just running, everyone smile and happy, but then at some point, if things go south, then they are like, no one here who is able to fix it. And that is also why I believe in our own service, with being the infrastructure provider and being dedicated to make that work and serve the many customers, because we don't afford not being transparent, not being up and running, not fixing when there is a problem, because, like, clients all over Europe will suffer, and that would mean the end of it. And it's good to have that pressure on you, not to relax too much, not to let the knowledge out of sight. Yeah. Let's go into the last section, that is being the CEO and what you have learned along the journey. So I'm a co-CEO myself, meaning that I have someone at my side all the time when shit hits the fan, but also during good times to celebrate. But you are doing this alone, and that's kind of a scary path that I haven't taken. But how do you do it? How do you cope with it?
I'm the CEO, but I have a co-founder, of course, so it's kind of the same situation. We are not doing the same thing. We are really good on different points, or bad on different points, I don't know. Yeah, we know how to work together, and I think that's one of the really important thing, like to be able to tell things really harshly when you need to tell it. You need to celebrate, of course. You need to be able to, like, it's really a partner. So you have to be able to talk with them with him or her very, very frankly. And that's, of course, I couldn't have done it alone. That's it would have been impossible. I like teams. I like, and that's why I like to hire people and make the best team we can. And I think that's the way we do it. We really rely on hiring the best people, like the 0.1% of the best people, and we take the time to do it. And that's hard because you have all this pressure, of course. You want to go fast, but you know at some point how slow it can be how it can slow you down to hire the wrong people. And you think that you are going fast, but actually you are slowing down because of the wrong people. It can be really expert people, but bad people.
Yeah.
So I think that's something I'm really passionate about HR in general and people operations, and my co-founder also. So we try to do our best to structure that, and I think that makes a real difference. It's really about details, but thousands of details. Like when you onboard the company, like you have a computer, you have someone to talk to, you have a list of things to do, and you have everybody welcoming you, and a lot of different things. And so that's about the thousands of details that you have to think about HR. And when everybody is like comfortable working in your company, knowing that they can tell the truth to everybody, knowing that they can share things, even their doubts with everybody, they can work together and rely on other people, makes huge difference. It makes a huge difference, and you attract the best people.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, and that's the good circle, like the virtuous circle you get when you attract the best. They want to work with the best, and so on and so on. And at some point, you eject the wrong people really quickly, and that's when you can say like, okay, the team is working. Like they naturally eject the wrong people and attract the right people, and I think that's the biggest challenge as a CEO because that's hard at the beginning. Like you enter a new market, you enter a new industry, you know nothing about banks, and you have to hire people from banks. And like, how do I start?
But how do you recognize? Do you think that you have a talent for recognizing talent? Like, what are you looking for? Is it more on the personality side rather than showing the most impressive CV, or how do you?
That's hard because the personality is really important, especially at the beginning. Yeah, you will spend a lot of hours with people, so you want people that you enjoy working with, of course. But you also want diversity.
Yes.
And that's the balance. It's really hard to do the balance. Like, should I hire these people? He's not thinking like me, but it can bring me a lot by thinking differently.
Yes.
And that's hard. I think we are looking for people that are 100% honest. I think that's one of the main things that can tell you when you are doing wrong, and not being impressed by that. I mean, like, experts in their field, not being impressed by saying that things they see things differently, but people that make sure that they pass this information really simply, not with the wrong thought behind.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to protect themselves or someone.
Exactly.
So I've been an entrepreneur now for 6 years. You are a serious entrepreneur already. And one of my sayings are that true resilience is shown through the hard times. So it's easy being a founder, it's easy being a CEO in the good times when everyone is happy and everything, sun is shining, all employees are happy. But that's not reality. Like, no one should believe that that's what reality is about. So it is how you cope with the hard times. It's how you cope when shit hits the fan. That is showing who will be there in the long run. From a serial entrepreneur, like, what have you learned from all your years as a founder and leader? that you want to pass on to those watching?
We had the chance to do all the mistakes. I mean, a lot of mistakes, not all, of course. We are doing mistakes all the time, but we did a few. Like we started with wrong ideas about how to run a company. Like at the beginning, I'm an engineer, so at the beginning, and it was only an engineering company. So the previous company I started, and we were thinking all as engineers, and so it was like all about like reinventing everything. Like things have been working for hundreds of years away. And no, we will change it because we know better, you know. And no, you can definitely take experience from others, and things are working in a way. Sometimes you can challenge it, of course, but most of the time there's a reason for that. And there is a reason, for example, for management. Like, of course, you when you exit, when you are going out from school and you start a new company or you start a new job and you say, yeah, management, you know, not useful. I know who needs management. I'm my own manager, and you realize 10 years after that manager is super helpful, super important. And there's a good way to do management and a really bad way to do management. And most of the time, I mean, people are brought to management for the wrong reasons. They don't want to do it, but there is a better salary, so they do it. And it was I think the thing we learned the most was how to manage, how to have a good management, how to train the managers, and make sure that that there was a management system that was really interesting. And one thing we do is that you have the choice to not be a manager. Like, it sounds normal, but actually in most of companies, and especially the old ones, you have to, because that's the way we'll have more salary, more power, or more freedom, or
only path forward.
That's the path you need to follow. That's nobody's thinking about it, but actually, majority of people don't want to manage anyone. They want to be expert in the field. They don't feel that they can be good managers. So that's something you need to integrate in your HR system and make sure that everybody will be happy, even if they don't want to do management. And people who want to do management, you need to train them because they have wrong ideas about what is management. They think that it's about...
Like you did in the beginning.
Exactly.
Who needs them?
Exactly. I'm not a good manager myself. I'm not thinking about me as a good manager. I'm learning things all the time. But I'm sure that I have hired good managers. That's the important point, I think.
I met some of your employees, and I do think you are not giving yourself credit enough for being a good manager.
Thank you.
But hey, before we take some key takeaways from this session, you have me now on Spotlight. We are a service provider for Memo Bank. Do you have any questions or question for me that you have been thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty rare that the co-CEO title is pretty rare, actually. I don't see it very often. No. And like, how did you have the idea of that? How do you manage that, even from a regulatory perspective? Like, is it accepted by the regulator? Like, how do you split the different things you are doing with your co-CEO? How is it working for you?
Yes, good question, and it's been quite a lot on the topic lately. I just like at Slush a few weeks ago, I actually first time ever met other co-CEOs in real flesh and blood. And I can understand why it can be hard to see how it works. For us, we were never aiming for it. We never tried to become co-CEOs. It's just the way we have been working so long together. We are each other's yin and yang. So we haven't shared the responsibilities on papers because we are so different, but still aiming for the exact same goals. We know exactly where the company is heading. So it just came so natural for us. But no, regulators don't approve it. But Enfuse consists of 2 companies in Finland. So one is the tech provider and one is the license provider. So one is on paper for the one for the other. So yeah, if shit hit the fan really bad, then we go to jail for different things. And that's how we are co-CEOs. But yeah, I don't think that it's anything that I can recommend for anyone to do. I think you either have it in you or you don't. But if you have it in you, it comes so naturally, so you actually won't be thinking about it. But many, like when we hire management, the first question they ask it, but how does it work? Who will I report to? And that's then when they sit with us in the same room, you don't need more than 10 minutes, and then they are, okay, I see the dynamic here. Okay, all questions answered. So I think it's all about personalities to get it working. So we are soon running out of time, but some key takeaways from all of this discussion, if you wanna, like one thing that you wanna take out from the conversation, what would that be?
Rely on good partners. I mean, like, seek for honesty, seek for how would it happen in bad times. I think it's really the key when you are looking for partners, and look for honesty and look for expertise also. I mean, we didn't talk a lot about it, but we look for expert teams in front of us, like who can teach us a lot of things, and also, I mean, it's important in business to have partners who can bring. I mean, both partners can bring things to the other, and that's. I mean, it's really important. Most of the time, we are looking for partners like, just bring. I pay you for that. Just bring me something. Like, I think it shouldn't work like this.
No, it's much more than a transaction on the account.
Exactly. It's super important.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think my key takeaway is how you entered the industry. And I mentioned it early on, like, I think that is creating diversity within the industry, coming from the total outside of it, with good skills, but a real high desire to do different things, like it's not working properly. You can do better within the industry. Let me come and help you. Because as he also said, when hiring people, it's not that easy to hire diversity because you easily recognize yourself, like the good skills that you self have. So creating diversity within a whole industry is even harder. But you came and you challenged. Now we only have a few minutes left, so let me see if I can get a question up on the screen. No, not.
It's going.
No. So what is Memo Bank's unique value proposition from a business perspective?
One unique value, because there are a lot of value.
Yeah, 1 or 2, 3.
I think it's customer relationship. I think we are starting from there. Like at some point, it's business between a bank and a client, and you need to have this customer relationship. And we have real bankers. We are not an online bank. We are a real bank, and we have real bankers. That's number one. And this customer relationship needs to be equipped with technology. It's because if the banker can't do anything on its side, like, yeah, I can talk to you, but I can't really, my systems are too old and so on. I mean, it needs to be supported by technology. Yeah. Super important. So that's the main thing. Second one is it's speed. Like everything is going quicker than 20 years before. Like every single thing. You need to have fast payment, instant payment. You need to have ways to go really fast. Like how do you create an account? Should I take my phone, talk, and it's, is it a 2 weeks process, or is it a 2 clicks process? That's a big difference we are bringing to the market, and also the technology. Like how can I automate things? Like if I want to go quicker, I need to automate things at some point. And we've got all these PST2 and all these new things in the market about technology, but this is not really working really well because banks didn't do the effort or couldn't do the effort. We are bringing an API, and you can use the API as we are using it, actually.
Yeah.
And that changes everything. I mean, our clients can really, they can use the mouse and keyboards, of course, but now they can use the automated way of doing it with an API that's changing everything in the market.
I believe you, and I'm looking forward to someday be a customer of Memo Bank. Now we will have to say thank you for joining me here. Thank you for a lovely conversation. Thank you for all the viewers online and for actively participating. Sorry that we didn't save enough time for all the questions. We'd love to hear your feedback, so please use the feedback form that you can see on the screen. Thank you and take care.